In this video, we are going to be completing step 7, the shape property. So the shape property will return to our users the number of rows and number of columns of our data frame as a tuple. So we're going to return a 2-item tuple of the number of rows and number of columns. And we are going to make this again a property, just like columns was a property. So our users don't have to write df.shape with parentheses following it like a method. Instead, they'll just be able to do df.shape. Now, we could have implemented it by making it a method without the property. So, but we're following Pandas lead, which treats it as a property. So, our data frame class is meant to be very similar to Pandas. So we're going to just follow exactly what they've done with the shape property, keep it as a property and not as a method. Okay, so this is actually going to be quite a simple task. So we're going to return a 2-item tuple. We can actually do this in just one line of code. The number of rows. So we already have implemented dunder len, which returns the number of rows. So we can just go ahead and call len on ourself. That's going to return the number of rows. And the number of columns, well, we're just going to use len again. And we'll just say the length of the dictionary, which contains a number of columns. Now we could do self.columns, which will return a list of columns, and that is perfectly valid too. But this just sort of saves us just a little bit of computational time, because this is exactly what columns returns. It just it forces us to be a list. So there's no need to actually go ahead and call .columns, which will call this. Instead, we can just get length of the data itself directly. So this will save us a little bit of a very small amount of computational time. But I guess if you did have a data frame with a ridiculously large number of columns, converting it into a list would be expensive. So this would save some time there. Okay, so this should work. Let's go ahead and run this test. So the test is called test shape. Let's see if we pass. So indeed we pass, so everything looks good. Let's go back to our Jupyter Notebook and look at that. So now we'll have df.shape should work, and this data frame has 3 rows and 5 columns, and it's returned as a tuple. So that looks good. Now, there's not going to be any setter for the shape property. There's only going to be a getter, because we don't want our users to just set the shape unless they are going to, delete rows or delete columns. So we're not going to let our users just set the shape with the shape property itself. So this will not be settable. There will be no way to set this. So there will only be a getter here. Okay, so that does it for step 7.